Low network connection. That's not connection available.
Oh, that's not. That's a good way to kick off today.
It was showing that I had all the bars as we got going.
I tell you all the time, it's your phone.
Okay, with the mic, let's make sure. Hey guys, hello, hello. Let us know if audio's coming through. We're trying to. Oh, there we go. Darryl, what's up, buddy? He's jumping on. Let's get him going.
Yep, there we go.
Add.
Don't knock it over. Move very slowly.
Scott, what's up, buddy? Hey, Scott, let us know if you can hear us. We've got the mic on. I want to make sure. Give us a.
Come on.
Yeah, I've got that right now.
Really?
Saying adding.
Oh, it just takes a moment. Good morning.
Morning.
Here we go.
Oh, you know what I just realized? We might actually have to. Because then, can we hear him?
Oh.
Can you hear me?
There, what's up, buddy?
Yeah,
Hold on, yeah.
Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
I can hear you now.
All right, perfect.
Beauty. How we doing, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good. Let me just set up this configuration a little bit better.
That's okay.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
doing the same thing.
I know.
I need to move over here.
Elise, what's up? Hey, guys, make sure, let us know.
You can hear both.
Comment, make
That's
sure.
okay.
Joe, what's up, buddy? Can you guys hear us okay? Couple people, right? We got
All right,
what's
set
up?
up a little
Coffee here.
Dow, the hair's looking good too, bud.
higher. Took me all morning.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't let the mirror alone. Beauty.
Always in the screenshots, I'm like.
All set up, buddy?
Happy.
I'm good. I'm good now. Yeah, I think I'm all set up.
All right, nice, buddy, nice. Thanks for taking the time, brother, to jump on with us today.
Yes, definitely.
No problem. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. We've been discussing guys for a little bit here. Reached out to Darryl, and it's awesome to be able to get this type of interview out here, and obviously to be able to educate our parents and to help them just learn a lot more about what it is that a lot of the players that we deal with, and a lot of the message, right, is talking about the competitive student athlete, right, the one that just really wants to take their game to that next level, and to have you on here and the things we talked about here a few weeks ago, this is pretty special and awesome just to be able to share it out to our community, and obviously to have you on here, it's awesome. We're excited, buddy.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
So
Should be fun.
Yeah. So for those of you joining on, so I may be a little quieter than normal today as they get into the nitty gritty, but what I'm gonna do
Come on now.
Don't worry.
She'll be
No
I'm
chance.
gonna lay it out.
Let's be honest to start this off. Let's be honest. Come on now. You'll be jumped right in there.
I will. And what I was gonna say, I'm gonna do my best to make sure that we're all speaking the same language, so that our parents understand what you two crazy development people are gonna be going down the rabbit hole and going, like 1,000 miles a minute. And I'm gonna blow the whistle and be like, time out, hold on. Let's explain this so that it's helpful for all of us that are here. So that sounds good, right?
No problem.
Awesome. Well, just to get started, so we know who you are, most of our viewers do, but some of our parents are actually new with, younger kids in hockey and may not know who you are. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a couple of minutes to introduce yourself to our audience and letting them know a little bit about who you are, what you've done, what you're doing, that would be awesome to kick things off.
Okay. Well, how do you introduce yourself? I don't know. I guess I've been a career hockey development guy. It's the only job I've ever had. I started my business. I was 19 years old, and I started off doing what everybody else does. I do private lessons and hockey camps and clinics and teams, etc. And I managed to work with some pretty special players who ultimately ended up in the NHL, and then I ended up with an NHL career myself. Which kind of just happened. Like it just one thing led to the next, and one idea led to the next, and I pretty much invented a job for myself that it wasn't there previously. So basically, what I do now is I study people. I study my clients through video analysis, and in talking to them about what they think about their own game, and I build development plans for them to be able to achieve the next level. as it relates to whether it's changing bad habits or what we call building a room on the house, like adding new skills to their game. And so I've worked in 2 NHL situations. I worked for the LA Kings for about 4 years, and now I work for the Toronto Maple Leafs as a consultant in player development. And I have about 45 players also outside of the Leaf situation that are in the league that we work with. So it's busy, but it's a lot of fun. It sure beats working for a living.
Absolutely.
Amen to that, buddy. Amen to that. That's awesome. So I love how you said the invented your own way, because that's exactly what happened in our situation. Like, it was just like, I looked at the whole scope of what's going on, and everything you just touched on of helping players understand at the core of it. It's awesome to see, big inspiration for me to see that you went in and said, you know what, I'm going to create my own path with this. And then to jump in and to show how important it is what you do is bottom line, right? Of like being able to go in and show a player their natural habits and work and build rooms upon that. I love that. I love that analogy, man.
Yeah, it's kind of what's going on now. Like, I think a player development industry right now is where strength and conditioning was like 10 years ago. And I think that's
all
really,
the time.
strength and conditioning was kind of like, it was, some players were fit, some players didn't need to be fit to do what they do, and now everyone needs to be fit. And there's a lot of people that were leveraged from other sports and other disciplines that have really added. And then now there's people that are coming up as hockey strength and conditioning coaches. And I think that's very similar to our thing. We have a lot of coaches, and then we have power skating people. And then now, as it's evolved, players have needed more and more. There's more people analyzing or researching the game, coming up with newer ideas, and the players are demanding it more and more. And I think what's changed in my job over the last 10 years is the demand that we get from the best players in the world to do these things, where before it was kind of like, well, the inference was that they were just naturally gifted and they were just going to do what they do. And now the best players in the game are feverishly working on skill development to either change old habits, update habits, or build new capacities. So it's very, very different.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's awesome. That's one of the things that dealt from the coaching days too, is that it was funny. One of the biggest things was always dealing with that high-end player, where a lot of times at the younger levels, what you'll deal with is a lot of coaches will just let them be. Do your thing. Don't worry about it. Like, just do your thing. And I'm giving you free reign and all that stuff. And what we found is that a lot of times that, when I was working with one program, I was actually recruiting the players in at the U16, U18 level, where I told them point blank, I'm not the guy that's going to kiss your ass. I'm the guy that's going to make you better. So if you're interested in getting better, awesome. Come on with us. We're still going to get better. And these were rock stars, studs, whatever you want to call them. But the irony, right, was that exactly like you said, they're hungry for that. They want to learn. They want to be taught more. They don't want to just say, hey, go ahead, do whatever you want to do. They're just like every other player out there. In fact, even more so. Like, there's so much more dynamic and understanding on, I want to be the best, and figuring out myself and understanding the little things that I can take my game to the next level. That's the part that I don't think a lot of people realize, is that how much that type of player wants the education just as much, or if not more, than the rest of the players that are out there. Is a big part.
Well, all the way, a lot of times the better players are severely undercoached, just because in the environments that they're in, they're usually the better players on the ice, and so the coaching tends to be to the middle or to the bottom of the group, rather than, and so they kind of get left and to their own devices, and it can be problematic for some of them. I mean, it ends up being a problem to the point where some of them just don't evolve and they fall off. And now we have kids that are like, no, I don't want to be above the coaching, which is what's happened in a lot of situations, is kids are above the level of which the ideas are being coached. And so they want updated ideas. They want to grow themselves, and they're constantly looking for new ideas and new things. The biggest challenge, though, is trying to get them away from like your quick hit Instagram, stuff, and trying, and like the YouTube clips, which are great, and trying to get to be like, no, like we need to incorporate things that are fundamental to your asset base that's really gonna take you to the next level. We can't just be haphazardly just picking things off a tree. We want to be systematically figuring out what needs to be added to your game, when, why, so that you can really go at this from a really intelligent perspective. So once we started going down that path, and then we really started getting a real collaboration with those athletes where they were sharing with us their thoughts and things that they wanted to add. We would match that up with the research, and then we'd be able to build a really good plan. So then what happened was they became a lot better faster than just, like I said, trying to figure out what the star of the time is doing, what kind of tricky plays that they're doing, and trying to practice that out on the ice and see if they can drop that in. It's much more systematic now of how they do things.
Exactly. Like I had a buddy of mine back in the day used to say, you can't teach a cat to bark, right? And that's one of the things that we always talk about of like, what are you built to do? Are you a truck or are you a Porsche, right? And understanding the essence of what you're designed to do is where your skill set has to be designed. And we deal with that all the time, as I know you deal with the same thing of where, like you said, we see the highlights. Oh, I want to be able to do that. But you know what? Maybe you're not designed to do that. Maybe you're more designed to do this. And that's way more effective for your style and what you are actually naturally designed to do and be effective as a player.
Well, here's the other thing that's really come up a lot more in my job is what we've uncovered is the best part is the worst part. So what I mean by that is your best asset as an athlete or as a player can also be the thing that limits you the most. So for example, if you're a kid who has blistering speed and all your life you've been able to just chase down loose pucks, like you're faster than everybody else, basically the team system is defenseman gets the puck, rips it off the boards as fast as you can, puts you in a foot race, you outrace everyone, grab the puck, and it's breakaway after breakaway. Well, every year that goes by, those situations become less and less and less. So you become like a chip and chase retrieval guy, a breakaway specialist, and then all of a sudden you get to a certain level, and now that skill is expired. There's no more breakaways anymore. So now it's how else are you using your speed? So if you're not evolving your speed, if you're not evolving your asset and adding layers to it, so can you use your speed also with timing to get the puck? Can you use your speed also with timing to get takeaways on a track? Can you use your speed to create space for other people? Can you leave the zone early, creating space underneath for others? If you're not evolving into those ideas, the best asset that you have is going to be the most limiting factor. And that's where it becomes a major problem for a lot of players is they get hung up on this. Oh, you're fast. Oh, you're fast. Oh, you're big. Oh, you're big. Whatever the case may be. And you leverage only those assets. Well, all of a sudden you get in a league where everybody's fast, everybody's big, and you haven't developed these other assets. All of a sudden you go from really good to very bad in a hurry. And so that's been part of our job for longest time is to try to take a look at a player's best asset and say, how do you evolve this to continue to make it relevant and continue to make it your best asset? Because the best part can be the worst part very quickly.
Amen to that.
Well, I'm now convinced that you have been tapped into our Alexa and listened to all of our conversations in here because it's freaking me out. I have like goosebumps.
Oh,
it's like we talk about this stuff all the time, and you know it's tough in the youth with the youth industry because it's so not how it's designed and it functions. But it does creep me out because I'm like literally we have these same conversations. And it's like as if you've been listening to our little Alexa.
Well, it's not what you're talking about, right? We've discussed this many times of the unconscious programming. What people don't realize is habits, like everything else, is intertwined, right? It's a language system. It's neurologically, right? It's all based off of, if I've been doing these habits for years and years and years and years, I've been allowed to do that, I'm building up these habits, these connections. And then suddenly, like you said, oh, hey, now I'm getting in a bigger environment where it's like, no, like now you can't think at times. Like you just have to be able to react. And if when you were younger, you weren't taught those habits, unconsciously you didn't understand, hey, how to move in these high percentage plays and these high percentage habits. If they weren't ingrained in you, well, now you're getting left behind. And that's a big thing that we're always talking to our students about how the simplicity of it, of no, I understand you want to do this, but the reality is trust in the process of you're built for this. When you get older, when you start to hit the real competition, some of this stuff is really going to help you. And it's harder to see when you're a younger player, say in 05, 06. But as you get older, then you start to realize, wow, actually, this is awesome. Like, this is helping me later on down the line. And that's the biggest challenge we face with our younger students. With our older, like you said, older students, when we put things in place, they're like, oh my God, this makes it so much easier. They're loving it. And it makes the game a lot simpler, but they've already got a lot of habits in place. They're already at a certain level that makes the transition not as difficult. Whereas a younger player, like you talked about, where some of these things and these ideas, well, it's not happening now with the kids that are surrounding me. How do I know that it's going to be that much more effective later on? Like, if I'm breaking into an area and if my teammates can't make that pass, it's hard to trust the process because they're not doing it right now. But later on, though, those guys are going to be able to hit you with that pass, and you're going to have that, be able to use that. So it's this interesting dance, but unconsciously, I think that's the biggest part that is a struggle for parents to realize that how important, like you said, the habits today are so much more important than ever, because now the game's completely changed. Like, there is no more go work hard and you're going to make it. Like, no, you have to actually work very smart. And
work hard is no longer an asset. It's a prerequisite. Everyone works hard. It's not an asset anymore. Everybody, once you get to a certain level, everybody works. It's not a separator. The separator comes from your habits and whether or not you have something that's distinctly unique about you that you can leverage in a game consistently. If you can't do that, then you're going to get lost in the shuffle. The other thing that we find out very quickly as parents is that good is relative. It's very relative. And, you know, finding out what good really is and what good is going to be at the next level is good. So if you're like a peewee player and you're really good for your area, you know, you're good for your league, you might not be in the top 100 kids in your state. You might not be the top 500 kids in 4 states. You know, so good is relative, and really understanding what that is and how you can build uniqueness into your game. That's really what it is. Can you leverage an asset, make it unique, that a team or the next people at the next level are going to take a look and say, wow, that's something that provides a layer that our team doesn't have, that, you know, would really provide some value to what we have, because that's ultimately what it ends up being. Once you get certain level in the pyramid, everybody is good. Everybody can skate. Everybody's big and strong. Everybody can think the game. Everybody can do all these sorts of things. The question is, what do you do that's different than everyone else? Because if you're just like everyone else, well, this kid's fast. Okay, so what? Everyone's fast. Now what? What else do you do? What do you do with that speed that's really unique that other people don't do? That when I have a group of people that I'm either trying to draft or I'm trying to pick, or you're trying to make a team, that's going to separate you from others. Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing. Like, you were talking a little bit before about reading and reacting. Truth is all the way up, you can read and react all you like. But if you want to be a player, you have to play with forethought. The game's too fast to read and react. You have to play with forethought. You have to play with anticipation. Anticipation comes from understanding patterns, recurring patterns. So you know when something's starting to take shape on the ice, you can see where it's going, that it's starting to take shape, and you can anticipate where that's going to go, and you go and do that. You're already in the spot. If you have to wait for it to reveal itself, it's too late. You're not going to get there. We call that chasing the game. So you get a lot of kids that have a great asset base, but they can't play the game in forethought. They can't recognize these patterns. Hey, it's a 3-on-2. Perfect. And there's back pressure that's coming to the third guy. Okay? So what's this going to do? What's going to happen is the puck here is on the dot. So he's on the dot. What are his options? Where could he go next? Where do I fit? Am I the second guy? Am I the third guy? If I'm the second guy, where do I go? If I'm the third guy, where do I go? And what asset do I have that I'm going to be able to leverage to be able to make it to make this play really work for our group? These are the types of things that need to be developed now. That you didn't need to worry. Well, the kid has hockey sense. Everybody has hockey sense. What are you talking about? It's not an asset. It's not an asset. Everybody has it.
Exactly.
What do you do that's different? How do you leverage a play? This is the things that people don't understand. And I think that the more we can share this stuff, you know, like you have skating speed, hand speed, and forethought. Those are the 3 skill speeds of hockey. They don't change. You will be projected on, and your ceiling will be dictated by the weakest one.
Love that.
So if you're a great skater and you have great hands, but you don't play the game in forethought, at some point, however well you play the game in forethought, that will be your ceiling. Your skating and your hands will not carry the day. The forethought will be the thing that does it. If you have great forethought, and you have good hands, but you don't skate very well, at some point, that skating is going to create a ceiling where you can know where you need to be, but if you can't get there, it doesn't matter. Exactly. And this is the thing. So all 3 of those things have to be developed together. That's why, like, learning to skate and handling the puck having those 2 as separate entities. If you can't do that anymore, it all has to be developed together, and it all has to be developed in a pattern. The power skating has to be done in a pattern that's recurring, so that you know the footwork. Like, for example, we just did a girls' camp in Guelph. We spent a ton of time on just wingers learning how to receive a puck on the wall in a way, on a breakout, in a way in which their outside foot would be touching the ground when they touch the puck, so that they could cross over to get to the middle. If you don't have that footwork, and you can't catch and cross right away, that's going to limit you from being able to get the dot line. So the difference is, I was also teaching the defensemen to not back up. We don't want to back up. We want to check, not defend. So when that winger gets the puck, our defenseman is swooping in. So if you can't take the dot line, they're going to just come over and kill the play. It's over. And if that happens over and over and over again, that's going to be a problem. But it could be fixed with just a small little adjustment with your footwork. So again, it's forethought. Why am I catching the puck? Where do I need to go next? That influences how I catch the puck, what foot I need to be on at a certain time. And then those things have to be automated, because if it's not, it's going to become problematic. Because now the game is possession. You can't just get it and chip it out.
Exactly.
You can't do that anymore. You got to get it and make a play. If you can't make a play, you keep chipping it out, eventually that's going to be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
So these are the types of things I think creating scenarios inside of all your skill training is now more important than ever. You can't just be in 3 lines going up and down the rink doing edge work. All your edge work has to be inside of different types of scenarios, so that you can link the puck skills and the forethought. Because if you're not linking those all the time, it's going to end up being a problem.
100%. 100%. And what's fascinating on that, right, is that it's the difference of why in the system, right? You look at from coaching, education, everything like that. One of the arguments I always make is it's the difference between conceptual and systemic. The problem we have is everyone's teaching, well, this is the breakout system. This is the regroup system. And you're teaching it in this way, but conceptually, you're not teaching what every piece needs to be doing together. You're not understanding the flow of the game, the patterns, and that's a big part that is much more difficult. And like you said, from an educational standpoint, it goes so much deeper. And that's one of the things, like as an example we do with our players, is that shooting the puck. We help them understand the dynamic of the natural flow of, by watching their video and seeing, like, what do you actually naturally do? Where do you naturally position yourself in the game? And did you ever think of, well, when you're in this spot here, have you ever thought about actually creating a shot from there? And then understanding, okay, well, now that I'm in this position here, now that you're open to that idea, wow, you know what? I never realized that I'm in this position 5-6 times a game. I never even thought to shoot a puck from there. Great. So now how can we develop the movement patterns, right? The mental patterns of understanding my time and space where I'm at to actually now create even one movement, one shot that now you can start to create off of naturally knowing, well, now I know I'm going to be in this area of the ice a lot, so I can do that. So it's exactly what you said on that part of it's amazing how distinct of difference from a coaching standpoint. I love how you brought up the player development piece of how much it's changed in the game. But exactly what you just said, buddy, is that's the part that I think where as a, from in terms of when you look at what we see in North America and developing the youth, I think the biggest struggle we have is that educationally, it literally has to change to this. Like, this is literally where it needs to go. And for it to go that way, you have to have the passion, you have to have the education, the intelligence to be able to do it, right? To understand the flow of the game. Like, there's a feel for it, right? You didn't just come up with this stuff without having actual sense and a feel for what's going on, right? You put in years of work into it.
So let me give you an example based on your shooting example, okay? So we have a lot of clients that come to us who want to shoot, learn to shoot better. Mm-hmm. So the actual last thing we work on is the actual shooting technique. It's actually the last thing. What we work on is, first we trace all the games and all the shots. So for example, we have a client that takes 230, 240 shots in a year. And we track them, locations, shot choice, results, traffic, no traffic, foot placement, all this type of stuff. How they got the puck, how it was acquired, all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And now we get to a situation where we're saying, well, listen, do you realize, like, out of your 230 shots, like 14 to 15% of them come from this location in this situation? The answer is, well, no. And do you also realize that you scored 0 shots from 15% of your shot location? Okay. No. Well, that's a significant pattern that you're creating a ton of shots from that particular location, but you're creating 0 results. Not only that, but then when we look at shot quality, we say, well, it's not just about scoring, it's what else it gives you. So a quality shot is not just a puck that goes in, because 9 out of 10 of those shots are not going in, right? The best shooters the best goalies in the game are over 90%, well over 90%. And the best shooters in the game, if you're shooting at 16 to 18%, like, you're world class as a shooter. So most guys are running about 12 to 14%. So you're shooting 90 or 86 shots are not going in out of 100. So, but you know what I mean? And you're elite. Like, you're elite when that happens.
Exactly.
So now we put you in this situation. So we work on, how did you get there? You're creating a lot of shots. This is positive. The worst part is that the shots that you're taking don't have great shot quality, so they're not leading to anything else. Does your shot lead to second chances for other people? Does it lead to extended possessions? Or does your shot lead to offensive zone faceoffs and other types of problems? Easy breakouts for the other team, et cetera, et cetera. So we go through this process with this player. Finally, we get to the actual technical component, and we realize his shot selection from that area is poor. His foot placement is poor. His the way he catches the pass delays his opportunity to release the puck. So my point in all of that is, he's come to me to work on shooting. I spend all of my research on everything but that shot. I'm trying to create, 1, context. How important is this shot to your game? 2, then, like, if it is important, what is your results? Oh, the results are no good. Okay, so why? And then start building up. Then the other thing we go into is, what else could you do here? Like, is there some deception? Like, maybe this is not a great shot location that you're shooting this puck from, but we could leverage it into great deception. So instead of shooting that, let's fake a shot in that location and move to either location number 2, or leverage your ability to see the ice, because of those shots that we studied, maybe 80% of the time you had another option on the backside of the ice that you could look at. That's player development now. Like, that's what we're talking about. And you know, the system, what happens if you play a rigid system and the system says that you got to play like this, and you play like that, and it gives you a tremendous amount of offense because of that system. And now next year you go play another team and they play a different system. What happens then? Right. Do you fall off, or are you able to figure out that system and figure out the movement patterns and be able to find out how you can be successful in that particular system? Or you get traded mid-year and now they play totally different. How's that work? Like, we need to know all this stuff, and this is what players want to know now. And this is the state of player development.
Yeah. So I kind of want to interject just a little bit, because we have a lot of parents.
Easy now. You said you're going to be quiet.
I'm being kind.
Okay,
I want to get back to it. I think, and we can all relate as a parent, we want to help our kids. And some of us live in areas where there's lots of opportunity and there's lots of possibilities to find good coaches, or maybe it's not your team coach. But I'd love for you two to talk about, like, what can the average parent do for their kid, you know, because most teams aren't running this way. You know, it's not designed this way. But what can they do? What can we do as parents to help?
Look, here's what I know for sure. If you are relying on your winter team to satisfy all the player development needs that your player has, you're going to be in trouble. Development is your responsibility. It honestly is. The teams you play on, you're effectively using those teams for games in 90% of the time. Exactly. There are a lot of situations that are very good, but it's like winning a lottery. Like, for example, where I'm from, you have to play where you live. Yeah. So if you were in the 2004 birth year in St. Catharines, Ontario, you might hit the lottery and have an unbelievable coach who satisfies a lot of these needs. He gets extra practices. He brings in experts. He is an expert himself in being able to build skill development. The guy is fantastic. You get a great bunch of kids together. You've won a lottery. Then you're in 05. Well, in the 05, it's not that way at all. You have very poor situation as it relates to player development. You got great volunteers, but they don't have the same knowledge base. They're not going to be able to develop them the same way. You cannot rely on what's being offered during your winter team to be able to satisfy all of your needs. You're going to need to supplement that. So how do you supplement that? Well, if you're an average parent, what I would want to do if it was me is I would say my kid is 11 years old, okay? So I'm going to take a little time and I'm going to go see who is the best 12-year-old team in our area. Or I might ask, like, who's the best 12-year-old defenseman in our area? And they might say, well, it's, Joe Smith from the town next door. I'm going to go watch that kid. What does he do? What's that level look like? And then I might pick a few things that he does. And then I might come back and get my skill development coach and say, look, I went and saw Joe Smith, and this is the types of things that Joe Smith does. I mean, I don't think all of the things can go into my kid, but maybe some of them. And then I have to direct my player development coach. The days of just going to a clinic and there's 30 kids on the ice and the coach just runs through a bunch of drills, like, those days are over. You can't, if you want to play, you can't do that. You have to get someone who's legit, who's going to spend some time with your kid, and he's going to start building. But you have to take responsibility and direct some of that ownership. And you say, I want a little bit of Joe Smith. I want a little bit of this guy, a little bit of that guy, because I know that these are the types of things that these kids are doing. I need some of that. You have to take responsibility for your own learning and your own kids' learning. As if you're not, no one else is going to do that. I mean, a lot of coaching situations are very self-serving for a small percentage of the team. That doesn't mean that that you can't get something out of it, right, but you have to figure it out. I know for me, where we are with my kid, I treat it very differently than most. I guess I've been around minor hockey long enough to know what it's really good for and what it's not really good for, and I supplement everything else. I'm like everyone else. I hire people to work with my own kid. I feel like I'm pretty good in skill development, but my kid needs a different voice. She can't just have the same people, me talking to her all the time. I need other people, but I research who the best people are, and I figure out what she needs next, and I make sure that she spends time with those people and gets new ideas, because I don't know everything, and so other people have different perspectives, and I want that. I mean, I do a lot of work. I work hard at the players that I have, but I really like other people to look at. The other problem I have is I find it very difficult to look at my own kid objectively. Right. And I need other people to say, yeah, you know what, she's pretty good at this, but she really needs work at that. And because I'm going to have, whether I like it or not, I'm going to look at things maybe a little rosier than others, or in an effort not to be like that, I'm going to be overly negative. But either way, I'm not really doing her a service. So I do have people that watch. I send video of my kid to them to watch, to say, what do you see here? And I match it up with what I see. And sometimes I get a real education of how blind I am to some of the things, just because I want her to do so well. It's a natural instinct of a parent.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you shared with us beforehand some of the unique things that you've done with your daughter, and if you wouldn't mind sharing some of that, because I think it's such a unique way, and I think it's something else that parents maybe don't even realize is something they can do, but I think it'd be great for them to hear about it if you wouldn't mind sharing.
No problem. When I started with Ella, she was really a science experiment for me. I wanted to see, I want to try a lot of things from a player development perspective, and she was the best guinea pig because she's mine, and she can only complain to her mother, and she can't complain to anybody else. So it ended up working out really, really well. But what I did for her was I didn't allow her to play early on. So I skipped a lot of the madness that is like mite hockey or squirt hockey. We didn't do a lot of that. Like Ella's probably upwards of 300 games played less than her peers. And I focused exclusively on two things. Number one, I wanted skill development, like elite movement patterns, the ability to skate a certain way. And I wanted to hook her on learning and teach her how to learn, so that when she went into and started getting competitive, I could get that at a time in which it made sense. So I think it's very difficult to encourage players to learn while they're being competitive. So, if she wants to play travel hockey, she's got to play 100 games with the local mite team. I wasn't interested in that. I was more interested in, I wanted her to learn and develop a love for learning before she learned a love to compete. And I think that's a really important thing. Those things come at different times. And if you force competition too early, you're going to create problems as it relates to learning later on. Because if I'm a kid who scores a lot of goals at a young age, because I'm the first kid who can skate, handle the puck, and lift the puck, I'm the first kid that can do that. When the game starts to evolve, and I've had this certain pattern of the way I want to play to compete, when that gets taken away, how willing am I going to be to evolve? I mean, I'm going to need a special type of parent group around me or special type of people around me to say, hey, like that ain't working. You need to find something different, and have the kid to be responding. Most of those times it's not. And so when it becomes all about winning before they're able to really conceptually understand winning, you can really do a lot more to damage, especially when you're in environments which are really intense. Kids might get sat on the bench at certain times. Certain games become really important, and all this pressure, added external pressure gets built and built and built, and the player comes off and they're disappointed. Like, I shielded her from all of that because I just didn't think it was meaningful. So that was the first thing that I did, and I tilted her season. So when she was like,
Hello. They freeze up.
Can you guys still hear us?
Let's see. Move out. Can you guys still hear us? Or did we freeze up?
No, we're still live.
We're still good? They froze up?
Yep, we're just, all right.
So I think it was awesome, guys. We'll wait till he gets back on here. We'll get him back on. But I think it was unreal about what he was just talking about. Is that something we touch on a lot, is the emotional aspect. That we don't give enough attention to the reality of exactly what he was talking about was your emotions get developed just as much as anything physically does or anything mentally does. Of the things that you study and you work on, right? That's the play for that feeling, right? That's the biggest part when we talk about that type of stuff, guys. Exactly what he was touching on right there is that he didn't want to create that environment before she was old enough for it. And we've touched on this many times of the things that we deal with in terms of the rankings, as an example. Right? We've had situations where we had a 9-year-old going, I'm so nervous to play against this team. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, why? In terms of they're the #1 team. So the emotional aspect hits at you, hits home. And that's a big part of what Dad was touching on. That part, guys, is that emotional, when we see the younger players put into these high pressure situations, they're not ready for it. They're not ready. So these rankings, all this stuff, it's absolutely wild, right? It's nuts that we don't realize that how much the emotional aspect plays into the factors with everything here. So that's the part. And yeah, learn to love the work, absolutely. Learning to love. And we're going to ask him, guys. He'll jump back on.
Don't mind me. I'm just making it happen.
yeah, he's going to jump back on, guys. But the biggest part, guys, is this, right? Is that understanding the takeaway on that is the deliberate learning, right? Deliberately putting yourself into the situations. And that's one of the things we talked about. And I'm sure he'll share a little bit more once we get him back on here. But the reality is that he was very mindful of situations that he put Ella into. Right? He was mindful of making sure that, all right, I'm going to put her in a situation where she doesn't know everybody. You know what? You're going to learn how to communicate. And he was mindful of, you know what? You're going to be the best player on this team. Great. Go be the best on that team. Be the leader. Or, you know what? I'm going to put you on this team. Yep, you're the worst player on this team. You're going to go learn how to be the worst player on this team. So those deliberate learning environments was very much, right? And this stuff, he's jump back on here. Yep, there he is again, which was awesome. And we're going to get him here. But that's the kind of stuff, guys, emotionally, you can charge up and create. And that's the stuff here. Let's get him going. That I love about it. Bring Darryl on. Yep. Let's see.
Okay. Gotta love technology, folks.
But brilliant stuff. I mean, awesome. Just gems.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Someone
Vince was just telling your life story.
Yeah, I was just going
Someone called me and I couldn't think. So what I was saying is, which I think is a really important point. I don't want to miss it. Is that I was really strategic about when I wanted her to learn certain things. I didn't just throw her into the wolves. I want to make sure that she was emotionally ready to be able to take on some of these things rather than just throw her in there haphazardly. I wanted to make sure that I was very thoughtful. So one of the things I did was I tilted her year. So what I mean by that is when you're a kid, your prime development time is in the summer right now. That's the time which you have the most amount of time, but it's the shortest season for you. You're going to play all winter, 8 months, 9 months, and then you're going to develop over 2 months. I went the opposite way. I did no competition during the winter and did all the competition in the spring and summer. So we trained to play rather than playing and then training. We did it the opposite. And I think that that's really cool. And then I tried to create really diverse situations for her. So I think the biggest thing that I want for my kid out of hockey, like I said, I have a long-term view of what I want for her. I want her to understand the power of the network of hockey and how really important that really is. If that's your only takeaway out of this game, it's a massive takeaway. So I didn't want her really at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old playing on one team with the same kids all the time. I put her on different teams all the time. We would show up. I remember she was 9 years old and I showed up at a tournament once and Ella's like, am I going to know anybody on this team? And I said, no. It's dressing room number 2 over there. Take your bag, go in, put it down, and make a friend. That's what you have to do, because that's what's important. And over time, she started to do that, learn more and more about how to make friends in those environments. And so now I've put her on that many teams. She knows a lot of kids at her age group. So this year we had to come back to Canada to go and play, and I'm playing her as an underage. So she's playing with older kids now. And she's like, there's no chance I'm going to know anybody. Sure enough, she goes in the dressing room and she knows somebody because of all the work we did when she was young. Right. And I really think that that's the most important thing is you want the network of hockey can be so vast. She's played on teams with kids from Chicago, Detroit, all parts of Canada. She's played on a ton of different teams and knows all these kids. We just did a festival in Guelph. And she figured she would know a few kids. She knows 3/4 of the kids, and the kids that she doesn't know, she knows now. And we had kids, like I said, from everywhere. So that to me is critical. Is that's what I wanted for her. And then all the other things come with it. Like once you have a network and then you enjoy the game and now you have something that's common with those people and you go and play at the different levels or you see them at the tournaments, all that becomes the takeaway when it's all over. Because for most of us, it's going to be over pretty quick. I mean, the kid's going to play till they're 16, 17, maybe 18. Then they're going to go off to university and they might play a little bit there, but that's it. So what are you left with? Well, you're left with the connections that you had and that you built along the way. And so that's what I wanted for her. So I did a lot of that, and tried to shield her from the craziness that occurs early on. I also put her on a team 1 year. The first year we moved second year we moved here to Florida. There's no girls teams here in Florida that she could play on. So I found this team in Detroit for her to play on. And the team was by far the weakest team in the league. And I wanted her desperately to play on that team. And you say, why would you not go and put her on the best team? Like, I'm pretty sure I probably could have made a couple phone calls and I probably could have if I wanted to. But I didn't want that because at that stage, it was the first couple of years that she'd played defense and she didn't really know how to defend. So what better way to learn how to defend than be on a bad team that's competitively losing all the time? You're going to be in your own end all the time. So you got to learn.
The phone call is popping up. He's got to do the, we got to figure out the
airplane? No.
It's airplane mode and then the other mode. You guys can hear us. We're good?
But there we go.
Someone keeps calling me. I'm gonna lose it. I'm sorry. It keeps messing up my phone.
All good. I was just pointing out that, or I was just about to, that I think it's so, you really could make any phone call. You could, get any door open probably for your daughter that you'd like. But your most important thing for her out of all this wasn't the hockey. It was the life skills that she could leave behind this, and that's really. And you were confident enough to take ownership over that. Like, I think a lot of our parents get so overwhelmed by the groupthink environment of these organizations, of coaches. Like, the pressure is not just, it's not just the city to city rivalry. Like, there's, these coaches and organizations that want to have trophies and win and all this stuff. And there's so much that goes into it, but that it's completely okay for you to have your own standard as a family. And understand that if the life skills are going to have the biggest lifelong impact for your child and for yourself, and that it's okay to step out of that rat race. Because if they learn that now and they see you as mom and dad do that for them when they're young, then when you're older and maybe you have that entrepreneurial spirit or you go to a company to work, you're much more equipped to handle what's going on.
Well, I use hockey for a lot of different things. Like I said, I put her on a team that competitively was out of their league because I wanted her to learn how to defend. And I told her before, this is why we're going. You're going there to learn to defend. And I did a lot of the development leading up to that. So I like to train for events. I think that's really important. So I like to say, you're going to play on this team. These are the challenges that I expect you to have. I'm going to train you, help you with these things. You're going to learn how to have a good gap. You're going to learn how to have a good stick. You're going to learn how to separate people from the puck. You're going to learn how to play 1 versus 2, where you have to really problem solve. Oh, and by the way, I'm not letting you use the boards. You can't use the boards. You're going to have to problem solve. You got to work it out. And now when you're on a bad team, they don't really care. Like, they just want you, like, it's a really good environment to try a lot of things because you're going to lose all the time. So it's really good for her because it was a free chance for her to really try things. Like, you're going to lose. If they lose, 4-1 versus 3-1, does it really matter? No. So for us, we did that. Then I did other things where I put her on a really top team, but she was not the best player. She was like near the bottom. And I'm like, you're going to have to figure this out. Like, you have to try to pass people. This kid's better than you at this. This kid's better than you at that. Don't worry though. I'm going to train you. I'm going to see if we can start passing these kids. That's what it is. It's like, look at your situation, figure out what you can do to take the best from it, and train to overcome. The takeaway I want her to have is, no matter what the situation is, you can also do personal development to improve your situation. So whether it's trying to pass people, I've also put her on teams where she's on a good team where she's been far and away the best player. Okay, you have to make people better here now. You're the best defenseman on your team, relatively.
Right.
You're the best defenseman. You're now going to play against this. You're going to play with their 6D, because every coach on the planet, that's pretty much what they do. In youth hockey, you're going to put your best D with the weakest one. So I'm like, you're going to get the weakest D. So you have to figure out what to do. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to keep passing that kid the puck. You're going to get the puck. You're going to make plays. Then when you come to the bench, you're going to tell them positions that they should be in, where you're going to be. You're going to do all this stuff. And because that's what's important. Like, that's what you need to take away from this. I wanted to put my kid in continually different situations that are real life and have her not look at it like, woe is me. All these kids are better than me. What do? I tell her right up, every kid's better than you. But that's okay, because I'm going to train you to figure out how to make this work. And we will problem solve it together. You know, I've put her with coaches who are completely like the nut coaches who are screaming all the time. I've put her with coaches who are very docile. I've put her with coaches who are unbelievable people. I've put her with coaches who I don't know if these are great people necessarily. They just love to coach. And so I certainly wouldn't be their friend off the ice, but this is real life. You don't get to pick who your coach is, but I can pick now. So I don't put her in situations that always stack the deck in her favor. But I tell her beforehand, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do to improve your situation. Now let's see how much better you can get in this situation. That's really the top and bottom of it. And so I've done a lot of that, and I think it's really served her well. The skill development early. She hasn't been exposed to a lot of craziness. She's been the best player on her team. She's been the best defenseman on her team. She's been the worst defenseman on her team. She's been on her spring team went like 4 years and lost like 2 games. Like, unbelievable. But then I put her on winter teams where it's 8 months of losing. And then I put her on another winter team where they were really competitive. The team that she was just on in Boston was a really good team as well. I put her against kids who are older than her, put her with kids who are younger than her. I love putting her on the ice with younger kids. That's one of my favorite things to do. And people, when I was a skill development coach, and we were running like our Wednesday night or whatever, and a parent would call, they would say like, you know, what ice time do you have? And I'd say, well, with this age group. They're like, oh, those kids are like younger. I don't know. Like, I need my kid with better players all the time. Well, no, I don't want that. I want better. And then I want you to be the best. I want you to go in the rink, and I want you to be first in line. And I want you to work on fundamentals like edges and balance. Meanwhile, you've done your fair share of edges and balance, but those are things you can never be too good at. I want you to go on the ice where it's standing still, stick handling, because that's the fundamentals, and we don't do a lot of that anymore. So why don't we go out there where that's taught and do it? That's taught with younger kids. So I want always changing environments, always. Top of the list, bottom of the list, middle of the list. You know, all training and development, and all of her competitive environments. I want to keep it as diverse as possible.
I think we need to get her on next week.
She'll have some fascinating stories for you. She'll be like, you wouldn't believe the one time you put me like. The thing about it though is I'm very upfront with her about what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it. And I say to her, this is what we're trying to pull out of this experience. This is what I'm anticipating that it will be. And here's when I want you, this is the effect I want you to have. Now I videotape all of her games so she can watch afterwards. I only tape her shifts so she can just see her shifts. So she can see whether she's creating that effect of what we were trying to do, whether she's able to drop in some of the development. But like a lot of people use the games because they want to win. They want to go to a tournament and they want to play 6 games. They want to be in the final. They want to come home with the trophy. I never really approached it that way. I want to go use the game to see if she's going to apply what she learned. We've been working for 2 weeks, a month, a week, 2 months, a whole year, however long, on building skills to a certain level. Once we build these skills to a certain level, I expect you to use them. So you need to go out and try it. And so I really think transfer is huge.
Yeah.
So what if you win the tournament and you bonded with your team and you do all that? Fantastic. If we go there, we're 4 games and out, but you applied 4 or 5 things that we've been working on, I'm over the moon. Like, I'm really happy. And so then should she,
right? Because
now she's learning how to incorporate. But too often these kids, they just go play. It drives me crazy.
Well, exactly.
They're not trying to add new things in their game. Like defensemen in a championship game, all of a sudden, like, they're not making plays because God forbid that they turn a puck over and end up in the net. So they got to chip it out and this and that. I'm like, how about in a championship game, that's the time in which you really want to try to make sure that you can make these plays and not use the board. Because if you can do it then, there's really something in there. Like, let's have a little bit of, like, ice in our veins a little bit, and let's see if we can have a lot of puck patience. These are the types of things I think are absolutely critical. We just don't do enough of developmentally. And I get that, but I'm the director of her development. I am. And all the parents are. You're the director of their development. You choose what situations they're in, which coaches they're on. And you should choose diverse situations as much as you can, because that's the most rich experience you're going to get for your child, both hockey-wise and for the life skills that this game is intended to teach us.
Exactly. And it's the fascinating part about that, right, is like, even sitting here right now, guys, a lot of people are listening to this and going like, yes, yes, that's what it's about. That's what it's all about. But we also know the fear dynamic of how many people are sitting there and going, oh, it sounds cool. And of course, you're Darryl Belfry, right? You can go do that and all that stuff. And what people don't realize is, no, like, anyone can do that. Like, legitimately, it's just, what standards do you have in place? What do you want out of the experience? Own your game and then get after it. But most people don't have that standard in place initially. That's why the fear factor is there. Do you have direction? Like, I love how you just said that. Of like, the reality is people just go in and just go play. But the reality is, do you have a direction? Do you have a set path? Do you set your GPS and say, this is what I'm looking to get out of this game. This is the direction I'm going today. Boom, here's where we're going. And then afterwards going, all right, how did we get there today? Yep, we did this. This was good. This wasn't good. And reassessing yourself afterwards. But like you said, the rich experiences, that's something that priceless in this environment.
I'm gonna open it up for some questions while you guys talk. So I mean, if you have any questions, definitely pop them in the comments while you guys talk, and then I'll get it set up for anything that comes through. But
cool.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, one of the things, just to piggyback on that, is like trying to have a plan for what it is that you're trying to get out of each experience. I think is helpful. You know, I want you to go in this with this coach, because this coach is yelling. He's constantly screaming. He's on the bench. He's yelling all the time. It's a lot of noise. When you come off and you make a mistake, he's going to be right down at the door screaming at you that you made a mistake. How are you going to respond to that? What are you going to do? Now, I don't put her in there and just let her go. I put her in there and I tell her, this is how you deal with it.
Make her aware, yeah.
You look them in the eye, you listen to what it is, and and then what you have to do is then try to decipher, is this a results-based question that he has of my game, or is this a process-based situation? For example, she comes around the net, she makes a pass. The pass gets intercepted, and the other team goes in and scores. The coach says, what the hell are you doing? You missed that pass. Okay, well, was that a process? Was that a results-based thing? Did the coach say, hey, when we break out up the boards, and you passed it to the boards, and now it just so happened that it didn't work out, and so now it ends up, and so now it's being pinned on you? You can evaluate that. Oh, that's a result. If it's a result, then I can impact that later. In other words, my next shift, I just have to focus on creating a better result. I can do the exact same thing, make the pass. As long as it works, we're golden. The issue here is now trying to create, if it's a process thing, is this something where the thing he's trying to correct with you is a process thing? If it's a process thing, Now I want you to really pay attention and try to really implement it. But being able to decipher, is this a result-based thing or is this a process-based thing? That's a hell of a skill. You're going to need to have that. But you need to be in an environment where you're with a lot of people where the coach is like, if it works, it's great. If it doesn't work, it's no good. And then you work with other people that are more process-oriented where stick to the process, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
Those types of things are important.
Oh, yeah. And that's that influence Lisa perspective, right? Is understanding the different influences. And I love how you put that of results versus process. Because that's the reality, right? Again, from a language standpoint, are you focusing on it? Because those are two distinct differences in coaching and development, long-term, short-term versus long-term philosophy, you know, because they're two very different processes apart in that end. And so when people understand that part in their development game, it changes the whole experience. And that's the biggest part for parents to take away is understanding that, again, you can be mindful of that. You can be aware of these factors and understand you have control of that. And then for the players to understand is that, hey, like you said, you might have that coach that's doing that. At the end of the day, okay, fine. The noise is going to be the noise. That's not going to change ever. You're always going to have the noise. We deal with the noise all the time. You deal with the noise. The noise is always there. It's not going anywhere. But how you
it's when and under what environments that you want to have that noise on.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And sometimes there's good pressure. You want to get to a point where, you know, there's good pressure for you to go out and perform. But we want to make sure that you've gone through a process to prepare yourself for what that is. I mean, performing at an elite level and doing it consistently is a learning process. We need to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a good environment to be able to do that. And it is a process, and it's learned over time. And you got to be careful that we don't go too performance-based too early when the player's not able to really process what's happening and be able to react when it goes poorly, which is what happens. One of the biggest challenges with performance, I think, is there's a lot of factors that weigh into winning that are not in your control.
Right.
And so being able to have the ability to decipher what is in my control and what is not is really, really important, because that allows you to overcome poor things that occur. So I'll give you an example. You're in a championship game. It's the first period. You're a defenseman. You get the puck. You pass the puck to your partner. As the puck's going to your partner, it hits a piece on the ice and it skips over your partner's stick. Now it's a scramble. They get down on the puck. Now they come around, bing, bang, boom, puck's in the net. Now you could trace that entire play back to the fact that you made a very good pass that happened to have a bad result, which is not in your control. So now you come back to the bench. Remember, it's a championship game. Oh, like our lives depend on this. It's really important. So now everyone's all uptight. The coach comes down. Why are you passing there? You know, you need to make a tape-to-tape pass, this and that. The kid has now got to go out very shortly for their next shift. If you haven't done enough to prepare this child to be able to understand what's in their control, what's not in their control, they're going to struggle or carry the burden of that last shift into the next one. And the way they do it is they change their game. So now same situation happens. Puck comes back to the D. The D has their partner available. That's the best pass. What do you think they're going to do? They're not giving that puck there. They're going to go up the boards because that's safe. So now you've changed your game. That doesn't tell me you're smarter. That tells me you're getting conservative based on poor results that occurred when it was out of your control. That's not high-level performance intelligence to me. You're not overcoming adversity when you're doing that. You're not. Overcoming adversity is to recognize what occurred, realize it was either A, in your control, and now you got to fix it, or B, if it wasn't in your control, accept what it is and be able to mentally push to the next shift. These are elite skills. Like this is what elite players are doing. This is how they think. You know, I had a player whose entire game, they're an undersized player, finally makes it to the NHL. he starts to play. He plays two years with a coach that's very liberal in his willingness for mistakes, and then that coach gets fired, and the next coach comes in who's now not liberal at all, like does not want any mistakes to occur. So this guy comes in, he tries to take the entry by himself, like skate the puck across the offensive blue line, turns it over, puck turns, goes the other way, comes back to the bench. Hey, do not turn the puck over. That puck has to go deep. So I'm talking about a third-year player now. It's experienced some pretty good success, got a new coach, and the new coach is all over him. So his reaction could be, next time he comes through the neutral zone, he dumps the puck in. Or he could say, listen, if I dump that puck in, that's really not my game. It depends on the situation. If I have time and space, I'm taking the line. I'm taking a line because that's the type of player I am. So the next time he goes, he takes the line, right? Comes back to the bench. What do you think the coach said? I like that fact that you took the line, but we really need that puck deep. So now he's coaching him. He says, we need the puck deep, so carry it lower in the zone. Don't turn it up, carry it lower in the zone. Okay, now we got progress. It would have been very easy for that player to skate it to the red line, lay it in deep because he doesn't want the problems that happened that was out of his control. He turned the puck over. It happens. If you have the puck a lot, that's what's going to happen. You're going to turn pucks over. It's what you do on the next play that's critically important. And being able to overcome that is a skill that needs to be taught.
Precisely. And that's the biggest part from awareness. And one of the things we talk about is there's 4 days of simplicity. And the first one is the acceptance. Accepting the position that you're in, accepting the team, the situation, and then becoming aware of, all right, what can I do about it, right? And there's so many different factors that go into it. Again, the physical, the mental, the emotional aspects, where every piece you're talking about in there, people don't realize that like the emotional aspect is such a huge piece to all.
Absolutely critical.
All.
One of the other things too is at some point you got to know who you are, and you can't be coached away from who you are. You have to be able to find traces of you in what you're doing. If not, you're going to be an apple trying to be an orange. It's never going to work. You have to be able to, even though your role on a team might change, even though all these different things might change for you in terms of your opportunity or the type of team that you're on, the players that you're playing with, all these other things could be major factors. You still have to be you, because if you're not you, you're going to have a problem moving to the next level. And that's a major element, having the courage to be you when it's really not favorable to be you. The environment is not favorable. The team needs you to be there. They already have 2 elite centers. They already have people on the power play. They already have that. You now, in order to get any ice time on this team, you're going to have to make offense happen from a 3rd or 4th line situation. You might have to play out of position as a winger. Well, you can't just accept that. You can't just accept, okay, well, now I'm on the 3rd line. I've been a player my whole life where I've made plays. Now you're telling me I got to get the puck, get deep. Well, okay, maybe there's a way I can dump the puck in where it's an indirect pass. Maybe instead of laying it in, having to go forecheck, maybe what I do is I slide it in behind the D and I get on the inside and I go get it. So now I don't have to physically separate that D from the puck. I just use in my head. Coach is happy because the puck is deep and we have possession of the puck, which is the intent of the forecheck in the beginning.
Another phone call?
The phone calls are coming in.
There we go.
Hey.
No, just kidding. I'm delayed on here.
Is that out here?
Sure enough, somebody called me again. Unbelievable.
You're a popular guy.
So these types of things are real. These things are really important to really focus on. Is like, the coach is trying to build a team environment where everyone has a specific role and things in which they need to do. I'm not advocating that you would not do those sorts of things. Of course, you're going to play your role. Of course, you're going to do what the coach wants you to do. But at the same time, you have to be always evaluating, how can I keep the things that I do best inside of this system? That, to me, that's that's the piece. It kills a lot of players, like NHL players that are players that have been the best players their whole life, and now they jump in and, you know, congratulations, you've been drafted by the Washington Capitals. The bad news is you're a center. We have Backstrom, Kuznetsov, and we have another guy who, like a Lars Eller, who is also been a first-round pick, who's now here. You, my friend, you're going to be on the fourth line to start. So you got to figure it out. And these guys here are playing ahead of you, but you still have to show traces of what you do. You might have to play differently than you've always played, but you still got to find a way to do some of the things that are, we call them signature elements of your game. Critical. You don't say, well, hey, like, I don't do that. Or, yeah, I played center my whole life, I don't play wing. It's not that. It's you play wing, but you figure out different ways in which you can incorporate. That's largely, like, in a lot of ways, that's largely my job, is to find a way to stay inside the team system, yet still provide the player an ability to pull out pieces of himself.
Right. And I just, like, for parents, like, just that example alone with the Capitals and the player that's drafted, like, here's a player that's drafted that's now going to the fourth line. So all of you out there that want to bitch and moan, sorry, but when your kid is maybe not on the top line, you know, in their youth career, it doesn't ever stop. The game always changes. The coach isn't always the coach for life. So the sooner you can accept and learn these lessons in the youth days, before you've got an entire humongous big business breathing down your back in every step that you take, you know, the better off you are. So I think a lot of times, like, we hear from parents that, like, freak out because my kid's not playing the first or second line. My kid's a first or second line guy. And it's just, you have to understand that here's a prime example that, like, it doesn't stop.
Well, good is relative, right? Good is relative. Like I said earlier on, yes, you are good. Yes, you are a good player. You might have been a first-round pick. You might be, you know, one of the best players in your area, and then all of a sudden you leave your area and you go to the next town, and then you find out, well, they have guys just like you, and they have guys that are actually better than you, or they have guys that they trust more than you, and it's going to take a while for you to figure it out. So your job is to embrace the situation, evaluate where the advantages are, and start pulling those things out. You got to make the best of it, but not making the best of it as in grin and bear it. Make the best of it as in, like, truly make the best of it. Find a way to be unique. Listen, what is the role of this particular player on the team? Well, if that's the role, we're going to do that to a T, and we're going to do these other things inside of that structure, which then makes me an even more valuable asset. One of the things that's really important is that you always have to be outgrowing your role. Like, you should always be someone that you're, like, the coach or coaches from other teams be like, man, that kid's better than that. Like, he's better than that situation, or he's better than that role. Because things happen. Kids get injured. Players get traded. You know, teams change all the time. And so all of a sudden, you know, up until Christmas, you were in this environment, and then all of a sudden the guy ahead of you has a season-ending injury, or they trade him, or something happens, and now, boom, you're popped up into that spot. If you're always trying to evolve or try to outgrow your role, then when that opportunity knocks, you're more than prepared. Especially now where it's very different. Like, everybody's responsible for making plays. It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you are on a depth chart. You have to make plays. So it's a lot easier now for skilled players who find themselves lower in the depth chart to be able to maintain these things, where before it was difficult.
If there's something I've learned from today, it's as a parent, like, clearly this is definitely over my pay grade, as far as, like, what you guys are talking about is so intricate. And it shows you that, you know, there are professionals out there that, as a parent, we are not going to compete in that. And our job and our role is to help our kids by finding people that we can trust and rely, and help put together a plan and be there in a supportive role to not freak out, but it's to seek out help. If there's one thing I'm taking away from this, is that a lot of this conversation that you guys are probably even over a lot of coaches' heads, where you understand it, but to implement it is not easy for most parents whose kids just started playing hockey a couple of years ago, and it's a different language, and accept that rather than try and drive yourself nuts about it, and seek out help from those that know what they're doing.
I think the big takeaway is a couple things. Number one, try to find as many diverse situations for your kid as you possibly can. Number two, development is your responsibility. It's not the team's responsibility. It's yours. Skill development is your responsibility. Number three, embrace situations that are not stacked in your favor. Matter of fact, seek them out. Don't always go in the best situations all the time. It's not real life, and it's very difficult for a lot of kids at a time in which you don't want them to be trying to figure that out at 16 years old.
Right.
How to that's something you want to learn earlier, that, you know, there's ways to find the best of things, make the best of situations. I think that's really, really important. The other thing too is to really be always working on something in your game. What is your best asset? Let's figure out how we can evolve your best asset, but then also not only just evolving your best asset, but working on things that are new. One of the things that I do with Ella in the off season that I think is really important is my job is very difficult for me to do a lot of different things in the summer. So I can't just put her on a lacrosse team and travel around just the same way we do in the winter, because I'm not around. Like, I'm on the ice all the time in the summer. So it's very difficult. And I found also it's very difficult for parents when they have situations where they're trying to be an elite hockey player, but then they're also trying to be an elite soccer player or track or whatever, like a second sport. Those seasons always seem to conflict. And so for me, it was easy because I didn't have to worry about that, because I don't have the time to run her around anyways. So, but I want her to be a good athlete. So what I did was I do a lot of lessons in different sports for her, because I think it's really important to build up other athletic skills, but I don't have the time to put her on a baseball team that's going to run for 3 months. So, but I do it differently. Like, for example, like I did a few years ago, I did tennis for Ella, and the first 3 lessons we did tennis. I told him that I didn't want him to use a racket. I said, I want you to do a tennis lesson. I'm going to be here for 3 lessons. I don't want you to use a racket at all. All I want is I want you to teach her the footwork of how to move around the court. I don't know what tennis does. I watch Wimbledon every so often. I don't really know anything about tennis. What I do know is the footwork is one of the keys to the sport. So without distracting her with the ball and this and that, just focus on the footwork. I want to know how you shuffle from side to side. I want to know how you go up and back. I want to know how you backpedal. I want to know all those sorts of things. So do 3 lessons like that. Now, once we're done that, when you give her the racket, Ella's left-handed. So I want you to teach her to play tennis right-handed. Well, why the hell would you do that? That's crazy. Because she's not going to be a tennis player. I don't care about tennis. What I care about is, do you know what kind of difficulty it is to learn to play tennis with your opposite hand? Do you know what that does to the mind? How valuable it is to the neurological body and how the body is going to move? It's incredibly valuable. The other thing is, where I was inspired by this is, I saw this guy, the strength coach, and he was working with one of the players, and he said, Darryl, come here for a second. So he comes here, the player has his shirt off, so you can see his back. You can see his back, the right side of his back is all muscle, overdeveloped, significantly more than the right. So why is that? Like, why is one side bigger than the other? It's overuse. They're constantly going like this or engaging one side, not the other. He says the best thing to do would have been for him to have done things with the opposite hand, like play tennis or play golf or whatever, something with the other to get the other side going. So now he's done it his whole life. He plays baseball the same way. He plays basketball the same way. He does everything with this side of his body. So he's got already an imbalance.
Right.
Ring-a-ling-a-ling.
That's a funny screenshot there. Like,
Namaste.
I gotta get a screenshot.
There
That's
you go.
hilarious.
Hopefully you won't Shut us
There we
off.
go.
That's kind of funny. He'll hop on in just a second.
But the imbalance is like what he talks about right there is how often we'll do the same as that thing of where having our players start off of where it's like, hey, we just did last week with players. And it's like being a newborn baby. That's what I love about that part, right? It's like you go right into that feeling of, I'm back to being like a newborn baby all over again.
Oh, yeah.
And neurologically, I couldn't agree more of just the benefit of it, of just what it does. Again, when we talk about the sensitivity of feeling and playing for that feeling, a big part as an athlete is the more you can incorporate things like that. The irony is the other side, your normal, natural side, actually the sensitive, the feel, becomes a lot better based off of the other side because of how much the technique, like different things, stick handling wise, we're talking about maintaining your elbow out, thinking from your feet. It actually forces you then when you go on the other side, the opposite, it's uncomfortable, and it helps your body appreciate in its own weird way. I'll go like, wow, okay, hold on. Now when I go back to my normal, actually, wow, it feels easier. And I get it. I understand when I go through the process and I think about it, it's pretty cool stuff. Right? So it hammers away at that. Let's see if he jumps back on.
Yeah, and I do just want, you know, guys, today's conversation was unreal. If you have found any value from any of these I mean, I have like pages of notes over here because I like can't stop scribbling if you ever wonder what I'm doing when I'm looking down. But if you find any value in this, because truly, if you're a competitive hockey player or really any sport, but today was obviously very hockey based, hit that share button because more people need to hear this messaging. This is not something that you hear all the time. This is different. This is very unique. Yeah. And for those of you that are involved in that high level environment, what was said here today is just straight gold. Yeah. I mean, so please use that share button because this type of messaging needs to be heard. It's not something that like only like you hear, like he works with, I mean, like you go to his website and his like testimonials are like Crosby, you know, like the top players in the game. And Matthews, like he, you know, this is advice that those guys are seeking out and it's how you can apply it to your game. So definitely hit that share button, hit us with some loves and some likes so that we can really make sure that we get this announcement out. I have not heard from him in Messenger to see if he's able to hop back on it. You know, we went definitely a little up, trying to get back on. Cool.
Let's see. Actually, let's see if we get it back on here.
Let's see if we can do it for you. Bring Darryl on camera. There you go.
There we go.
Let's see. Adding, connecting. There we go.
Sorry, one more time.
That's okay. We've gone like over an hour. So
yeah.
I just have one more thing that I think would be really valuable for your parent group as they try to navigate this craziness of hockey. Is I think is to really approach it with a lot of perspective and understand like there's a lot of things that you can get out of this game, and learning the learning elements or the hockey elements or the trophy case is just part of it. And really strategically looking at what kinds of environments you can put your kids in that will give them a really rich experience is really what you're looking for. It happens so fast. Like I said, for most of us, it's going to be over really fast. And you'd hate to have wasted a lot of opportunity caring about things that don't matter and not caring about things that really do matter. And I think and the things that matter is trying to find a great network of people that your kids can associate with from all over, like all places. If you're lucky to be a travel hockey player, then put yourself out there. Get on teams where you don't know anybody, and create a vast network for your kids, because that way one day they're going to walk into a dressing room and they're going to see somebody that they know. They're going to walk into a college one day and they're going to pass somebody that they know. Those things are incredibly valuable. And then also, not trying to take it too seriously in the sense of the type of coaching that you're getting. Bench coaching is only part of it. So your kid misses a couple shifts here and there. I don't advocate for shortening a bench. I did it when I coached, and now I know better and would probably never do it again. But it happens. That's the way it is. Try to find out where the asset is and how to be able to talk to your kids about what to do to make things as best as they can. And if you do that, I think you'll have a very rich experience with this game. It's given me everything I have, and I want my kid to really see, the best parts of it.
Couldn't agree more.
Amen,
and
brother.
Certainly
Amen.
Can't thank you enough for your time today. This was amazing. I know I learned a lot. I'm sure you learned a lot. And this is information that, you know, a lot of people don't talk about all the time. We don't get this level of insight. So truly appreciate your time. And I guess I kind of took, it was hard to get a word in with you guys. Not going to lie. You can talk just as good as him, but I've known him since he's been 16. So like I can just kind of like, he's here. I can elbow him.
I've seen that elbow. It's good. I don't know how many.
Yeah, it's a good elbow.
I don't know how he's able to sit there.
That's awesome. No, Dad, this was awesome, buddy, and you know, appreciate it so much here to come on, because again, it's, you know, it's hard for, you know, even from our side, right, of like trying to put the word out how important it is of people understanding that it is changing. There's a whole different level. I couldn't agree more of how you just came in leading with that, of how Strictly Edition used to be. That's something I've already said at least 100 times in the last 6 months, of like that I see the mindset perspective, the player development is going to make that next shift. That's going to be the next thing of it's going to become the norm, because you have to. There's too much information. There's too much out there. And unique identity is everything inside of this. There's 1A is the team and 1B is you. And together, they fit together. And that's the difference now, is that in order to make it into anything, you have to know what your uniqueness is, accept what that is, and work on it. Actually work on it inside the framework of what you're trying to achieve.
So one of the big messages, like I guess one of the things that I transferred to, and have been trying to transfer to Ella as much as I could, has been when I started my business, no one knew who I was, because frankly, I was just an average guy just trying to do hockey who never really played, never did anything. I couldn't skate. I had to teach myself to skate, all that stuff. So I knew I had to be very different and better. That's my only chance. If I'm not different and I'm not better, I'm not gonna have any opportunities. So I've transferred that phrase to her. If you want to be a good hockey player, you have to be different and better. So what do you have that's a unique asset that you can leverage that will make you a little bit better than everyone else who just does it the same way? If everyone does it the same way and you do it differently, automatically you're going to draw some attention. Now, what that attention does for you, I don't know, but at least you're getting a chance. Most kids, especially good hockey players, I'm talking like AAA caliber players playing in great situations, they put themselves in a situation where they don't even get a look. Like, they're playing on the best team and they still don't even get a proper look to get to the next level, because they're just like everybody else. They're vanilla. The guy's coming to watch, he's looking for different. He's looking for kids that do different things. So if you do it, you're the guy that's Mr. Reliable. You get the puck and you chip it out. You get the puck and you chip it out. You get the puck and you chip it out. Honestly, like, yeah, you did your job, perhaps. You're doing the system, perhaps. But honestly, I can find a guy in any street corner who does that. Hey, you're a guy who's really fast and you skate in a straight line really fast. Like, you don't think I can find a guy like that? Like, there's thousands of people like that. It's not differentiating. But now listen, if you can get the puck on the boards and two people are on you and you can find a way to get it to speed underneath the puck, I'm listening now. Now I want to see if you can skate, but you use your skating to get into a passing lane and you have great timing, or you have great change of speed. So it's not just your top end that's your asset, it's your change of speed. Well, now I'm looking. Before I wasn't looking, because everybody's fast. Everybody works hard. Everybody chips the puck out. What do you do that's different? If you don't have that, it's going to be difficult to project. And every year that goes by, it gets worse and worse. There's so many kids who are so good. The talent level and the uniqueness of talent is so diverse. You're going to need to have that. If you don't, you're going to get all the way up and do what everybody tells you to do. And you're going to get there and realize that might have been your biggest mistake.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks a lot, everybody. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. I was going to say, if you guys are going to keep going, I have to go pick up our daughter.
No, I'm not. We're done. I have like 20 phone calls that now I have to make. And
we truly appreciate it.
We could go all day, man.
No problem. Thanks again.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.